first of all, what is poi?
It depends where you get it from, right?
Well, let's just go back, because what we've seen from contact till now, the recipe has changed,
Yeah.
right? And if you really put on the Kanaka lens, right, Haloa, the kalo, predates the Hawaiian. Yeah, it's Haloa, and then it's Haloa ke Kanaka. So this is really important. This is really important, is that this way of life, this practice connects the Hawaiians to the rest of the planet. Yeah. Before there was a Hawaiian, there was kalo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is critical when you look at the why, right? And the why, when you travel by ocean in a canoe, the things that you bring have to be able to get wet.
That's right.
So all your seeds, all of that, unless it's a kukui nut, a kamani nut, a coconut that has a very thick husk, you pretty much can't take it, right? Things that can survive as a root. So sweet potato, the vine has roots. Ulu, you can clip the root of the ulu and travel with that. Some of these things like banana has a pseudocorm that you can take that does very well. So these were the foods of the traveler. This was the fuel of the very first. I mean, they were astronauts. Yeah, to jump in a vessel and go 2,000 miles over the ocean, you're tight.
Yeah.
I'm talking NASA tight.
Right.
Yeah. And so this is that food of the ancestors, that the you think of like poi, who else has it in the world? Nobody.
Right.
85 countries, 2,000 varieties of taro. Why only the Hawaiians get poi?
That is a good question. Never even thought about that.
It was advancement in food preservation technology that was kept secret. And still to today, one of the most misunderstood foods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you take a recipe, you change a step or an ingredient. Guess what? It is no longer.
It's no longer what you're trying to make.
It's no longer the recipe. So when we think of poi from that lens, there's a very specific way to make it. When you don't make it in that way, you're making something totally different. Now, if you read up on the microbes of poi, this is what the scientists wrote. There's thousands of microbes found on the taro. We only studied the prevalent ones. But if you made the recipe wrong, wouldn't that change which ones are prevalent?
Yep.
So, when we go to taro culture and taro eating, everyone thinks of taro farming, but they don't think of food preservation. And this is important, because in order for a civilization to make feather cloaks, feather capes, you got to be balling in time.
Yeah.
Balling. Okay, I'm talking like more than like Toyotas with rims and sounds balling. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, Auntie, you only get one gold chain. You only get 40 bracelets. This feather cloak represents the 400,000 people in my Ahupua and one whole healthy food system. The amount of time necessary to produce these types of arts require food abundance. Now, we got to think, the most amount of poi ever made, the most amount of taro ever grown, not a single drop of fossil fuels used.
Mm.
Yeah, that this is a recipe that does not require refrigeration. So first of all, if you poi refrigerate it, it's a poi-like product.
Right.
Yeah. Now we're looking at quality. Who regulates poi? It's the Department of Health. They have a definition. It says poi containing less than 27% solids. Poi is the unadulterated ground taro product containing no less than 27% solids. So that's 73% water. There's actually a subcategory of poi.
And that's their definition, but it's not the Hawaiian definition.
No, this is just The Department of Health definition. This is what we went up and we had to fight when we legalized traditional poi making.
Yeah.
Is this mindset? There's a subcategory of poi. It's called poi ready to eat. Yeah, you go look the hanale. You look everything that's refrigerated, it actually says poi ready to eat. That's not the labeling, that's the classification of what it is. And that one is only 15% taro.
Oh, wow.
So you buy hanale at $10 a pound. If it's only 15% taro, that's actually $50 a pound for taro.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And also $50 a gallon for water. Some expensive water. I found in research that there was a 1942 legislation on the Big Island that said poi containing less than 30% solids shall be deemed unfit for human consumption and the sale of such prohibited.
Wow.
So if you took the poi in the store today, back to 1942, couldn't even serve them.
That's crazy.
Once again, what is poi? Yeah, and I believe that for every family, your family should have a definition of what it is. Yeah. And if that definition keeps you pot to your land, keeps your water safe, keep your kids healthy, keep your grandma healthy. Yeah, if it literally sticks the family together, I like your recipe. And that's partially why in 2011 we fought to legislate and create space in the governmental rule book to allow for the traditional making of poi. What I didn't realize is what happened when we did that is it legally recognized mahi'ai. That there is someone out there that is growing taro, that is making it traditionally. That existence of a person wasn't recognized in the rule books. Yeah, they give you all of these rights that you could do, but then you couldn't really do them. Well, this is one that since 2011 has been the fastest growing sector of Hawaiian cultural practice that is equated to more people staying on the land, providing an economy. Like, it's in our hands to screw it up. This is why we're very strict about it, because we have a very special classification. You know, we got a battle on all separate fronts, but the legalization took the legal liability off of the schools, the grantors, right? People wouldn't give money to poi making projects because of the legal liability around food preparation.
Right.
Since 2011, $20 to $30 million has been put into the cultural community to support these programs, right? We're looking at 30,000 poi boards being made in a little more than the last decade. These are things that today, you go to Facebook, you look up poi pounder, there's guys selling them. Papa Ku'iai, there's guys selling them. These guys didn't have, this is an economy.
We've created a market
that is uniquely a Hawaiian economy, with the majority of benefactors being Hawaiians. Outside of that, it's people that are looking for health, that are looking for connection to Aina, right? This is where we're able to reuse resources that were being thrown away.
So all the people that have called you crazy, that said, why are you quitting your job? What are you doing? Here's the fruit of what you fought for. Here's the fruit, what you've grown up seeing. Here's the fruit of what you saw growing up, and you saw the people, you know, burning down, in essence, the kalo patches, the lo'i patches, and then you got health, and people getting sick, and you're like, we got to stop that. And so here's this ripple that you've created, and to change that paradigm, to change that, where now more and more people are getting into the practice of pounding poi or pounding kalo, and now you created a marketplace, a competitive marketplace, because now, you know, if you're going to sell yours at, you know, $18 a pound, this guy's going to sell it at 12 or 7 or 6. Now you've created a healthy, you know, well, this poi is just as, or this kalo is just as good. You know, so you created a marketplace for this. Even for us, as a company that we built was, we started was Blended Hawaii, and we use kalo for our sorbet, and that's that's not unheard of here. And we're very selective of where we buy our kalo. We buy some from you because we know you guys have really good kalo. And so you've created, so from you being an activist, for you fighting for the ability to legalize the ability to make poi the way the traditional cultural, it's allowed people like us to work with Anthony and Michael to start a company to sell sorbet that has poi in it, has kalo in it because of what you've done. So that's the fruit. So people calling you crazy need to eat their own words because you had a vision, you had a dream, you drum big, and because you drum big, there's now fruit from that. We are now grabbing from your fruit that you've
It
plowed.
takes time, you know. Um, we always talk about being ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
That's not usually where the profit is or the abundance.
that's where
Yeah,
the struggle
that's
is.
where the freaking that's the bow of the ship freaking
Yeah,
smashing.
yeah,
You know, what we need is we need more champions that are willing to be ahead of the curve so that there can be opportunity for the culture and people to thrive.
yeah.
Because the reality is that the institutions, the government, the military, they're 50, 75 years ahead of the curve. Yeah. They're beating us up into the future. We don't even know about that yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And so we need to get our community to that point where we're investing in that curve. Instead of saying you're crazy, we're saying, here, this is where we trust that our investment is going to get this kind of crazy returns out of it. Because the truth is, the cultural value of people making their own food in this manner is the difference between this part of the culture existing and not.
Mm-hmm.